You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Dean Johnson.
The AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California. Presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AFTERBUZZ TV's Doctor Who After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Doctor Who After Show.
Hey there, Whovians. Ooh, just let that wash right over you. So we were talking about the 50th anniversary special back on Sunday, and obviously there's nowhere near enough time to talk about it.
No, not
so
nearly enough.
We're back again for a very, very special Doctor Who after show. We're gonna wrap up more of our thoughts on the Day of the Doctor. We're gonna talk a bit about an adventure in space and time. I am Matt Lieberman. Joining me on the panel tonight is the fabulous Miss Megan Salinas. Hello.
Hey, everybody.
Hey. So, let's start first. We're going to talk about Adventure in Space and Time, then we're going to go back into Day of the Doctor, which I saw again last night in theaters.
I've got to say, how is it on the big screen?
Oh, it's fantastic. In the 3D, it's so rad. And
Did the 3D actually look good? Because I know with like the picture, it probably would have looked pretty awesome.
With the paintings, yeah, but it actually was shot in native 3D.
Oh.
It was shot in native 3D, so it's actually meant for the format, and it looked beautiful.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and all the effects were great. But we're going to talk about that. And then we're also going to talk about this article from The Mirror, which came out today, that's all about regeneration and the Christmas special, and it's thrown everyone into a tizzy. So we
Trying to get the numbers straight, right?
Have to address it. Yes, have to get the numbers straight. So let's talk about Adventure in Space and Time first. Now, here's the thing. I loved it until the last minute or 2 minutes. Like, do you know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
So for those of you who haven't seen it, it's an absolutely wonderful TV movie. I highly recommend it. It's not so much about the genesis of how did the idea for Doctor Who come about. It's really more about William Hartnell, the first Doctor, and his sort of journey as he grew to love the role and then have to leave it in such tragic fashion.
Yeah, I was not expecting to have feels for this, made for TV docudrama.
Yeah.
Especially given that they have David Bradley playing the part of William Hartnell. Because after this season of Game of Thrones, I was not ready to forgive this man.
Between Walder Frey and Argus Filch, like I've heard, you're not the first person who said that, who's just like I hate this guy. I hate him.
And I feel bad saying that. You shouldn't hold a role against an actor. But,
absolutely not.
But episode 9 of Game of Thrones this past season, that hurt quite a bit.
Yeah. No one likes the Red Wedding.
No.
But it was a very moving story. And I loved all the period details and Verity Lambert, fantastic performance by Jessica Raine.
Yeah, that was another thing I didn't realize, the history behind this series. I didn't know that this was a female producer and initially an Indian director too. 50
Both
years
the first
ago,
of their kind at the BBC.
That was practically unheard of, and so I know Doctor Who has always been progressive in the types of stories that it tells and, the smart writing that was there and the questions it posed about our society as a whole and the fact that it still does that. But I had no idea that, behind the scenes, that it was that progressive as well. And I think that's fantastic.
Oh, yeah. And I loved Brian Cox in anything.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And his Sydney Newman was awesome. Although, they didn't explain until, the titles at the very end where they showed kind of where everybody wound up. I had no idea that he was supposed to be Canadian. I'm just like, what is this accent that he's playing with? He doesn't sound British, and I was very, very confused.
I'm always a little pow, pow, pow. I'm always a little put off because the first couple of roles that I saw Brian Cox in, he was a bad guy. He was Stryker in X2.
Yeah.
And then he was a bad guy in the
Bourne Supremacy, and I love him in that movie.
He's fantastic in both of them. But ever ever since, I always have to make that little adjustment anytime he's in any other role, especially when he's playing a good guy, too. Because I'm always like, you're an evil man.
You got a couple guys cast against type, but they were all both very cuddly here.
They were great.
Yeah.
I didn't, like I said, I wasn't expecting to really get as drawn in as I was. And by the end of it, I was in a puddle of feels. It was sad.
I know. Well, it's just so tragic that William Hartnell, he wasn't able to continue playing the role, and they had to let him go just as it had really become important to him. He was developing this wonderful relationship with his granddaughter, and that was very sweet.
And you know, just to see the impact it had on kids too.
Totally.
Oh my god.
When he's leading that class of kids around and he's just having the time of his life, especially after we meet him and he's so embittered, was just so lovely. And a great script from Mark Gatiss, who, like with me, his scripts tend to run hot and cold. Like his scripts for Sherlock are always the worst ones of the season, and like he's hot and cold with me. I really loved this screenplay until the final moment of the movie, where all you have to do to send us out on a high is William Hartnell steps up to the TARDIS console, and you just have to have him do his actual speech from when he's regenerating. That's it. Just do it. Just do the speech, and we'll be out, and we'll be in a puddle of feels, and everything will be fine, and we'll all be singing the praises. But then Hartnell, he grabs the console and looks over to his left, and then what is Matt Smith doing there? What?
I didn't realize Matt Smith was actually a time traveler.
Yeah, it's a little weird. And I was so angry. I was so unquenchably angry. I paused it and I couldn't continue it for like the remaining 3 minutes. I couldn't finish the special for nearly 20 minutes. I was so mad.
I was really taken aback. Because it really does pull you. I know what they were going for.
Right. You know, he sees that he gets to see that it goes on, and he has a legacy and whatever.
And at the same time, it's allowing, you know, the current actor of the role to acknowledge the legacy of the role.
Right.
But at the same time, within the narrative itself, it kind of made no sense. I literally jumped back. I was watching it like on my bed, like on my computer, and I like jumped back. I was like, what the? what is
You're
he
just
doing
kind of
there?
You're just kind of like, what? Like, it's just the most baffling choice. I think, like, I understand. You know, I was baffled when they didn't show how Sydney Newman came up with Doctor Who, but then I was like, okay, maybe it's just a boring story. Maybe he came up with it in the bathtub, and we just don't need to see it. Whatever. I was disappointed at that.
They did play it off as though it just came to him off the top of his head, that he just throws things out there. He's like, here we go. Here's the name, Avengers. Make a show out of it.
Exactly. He's like, just 2 young people and a little girl and an old guy. I like an old guy.
Go.
That's important. Just go and do it. And he's called Doctor Who. All right. You know, but like, just like, not only does it take you out of the story, it immediately dates the special. Because now, if you were to show that special in 20 years, right, Matt Smith is there, and it immediately makes it, this special was shot in 2013.
Exactly.
However, I read an interview with Mark Gatiss about the special, and he talks about this Matt Smith moment, and he's like, Matt actually was there on a different day from David Bradley, so we can actually take his shot out and sub in any doctor in the future into that one part. And I'm just like, don't, just take the moment out. Just take it out. There's no reason for it. It blows my mind.
It feels very reminiscent of like in episode in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
When the special edition, however many came out,
and it's Hayden Christensen
as opposed to the original actor. It feels like that, especially with the way that you're describing it, that they can transpose anyone in there at this point. That's exactly what it feels like.
It just feels like a cold kind of business decision. You know what I mean?
It was it's really a poor decision, especially because leading up to it was the most like emotionally wrought part of the film when William Hartley is just
William Hartnell.
I'm so sorry.
Sorry.
when he's talking to his wife about having to leave the role, you know, the fact that they're moving on without him, and you know he says something that, you know, David Tennant's Doctor will say, you know, however many years later, I don't want to go.
I know.
And he breaks down crying. And to have that scene immediately followed by this, it's really sloppy.
I know. But we've gotten out our feelings about this one particular part. Any other things that you particularly loved about this special? I loved learning that the TARDIS's trademark groan and wheeze comes from this guy dragging his apartment key up and down these wires. That was so cool. That the technical director originally of Doctor Who created many of the special effects, invented the teleprompter. I loved seeing the bee people costumes. I don't know what they were, so don't hate me that I don't know. It's one of the lost episodes.
Well, actually, I read an article about a year ago. Apparently, some of the lost episodes are being recovered because they were bound. You know, they were
found them. They found two, and they were released 2 months ago, I believe.
Oh, I hadn't heard that.
Yeah, they were released 2 months ago. The Enemy of the World and I honestly can't remember the second one. It's two Patrick Troughton adventures that were actually back to back. I think it's adventure number 39 and adventure number 40, if I'm not mistaken. And those are available on iTunes, and they've got
awesome.
like a beautiful restoration. They look great.
Well, actually, what happened with some of the lost episodes were when they were initially broadcast, those broadcasts actually like went out into space and have been reflected back. Like this was an article from like a year ago.
What?
And they were reflected back, and when
From
the broadcast came
space?
back, yeah. So we have lost Doctor Who episodes from space.
That's so awesome. That's
I
so
wish I
rad.
could remember. I know it was like an old Gizmodo article.
Is there
from
some
like a year
way
ago.
to pick up the broadcasts from space?
They were able to recover a couple of the lost episodes, is what I heard. According to this article from a year ago.
Is the music supposed to...
From space.
From space.
From space.
So awesome. I hope that we can grab those space broadcasts.
If I can find it, I'll send it to you. But like I
Sweet.
said, it was from a year ago.
If there's a do-it-yourself way to get these space broadcasts, I would just have it running all the time just to see what else they were airing on BBC in the late 60s.
It would be very interesting to go, okay, this is what people watched on TV back in the day.
Yeah, we can watch episodes of Compact. Exactly. That's a reference to Adventure in Space and Time for those of you who didn't watch it, and you should. Okay, so we only have like another 18 minutes on the show. Again, crunched for time. So let's move on to more Day of the Doctor stuff. Having watched it a third time, I just had so much fun, and we didn't get a chance to talk about Night of the Doctor with Paul McGann on the last podcast, and I just loved seeing Paul McGann in the role again. He is so good.
I'll be honest, this is the first time I've ever seen him. I haven't seen
You have to watch Doctor Who the movie. He's hampered by such a terrible script.
I had it once, and I was so excited to see it, and then I lost it. And I was like, no!
Oh, man. There's this moment. So, for those of you who haven't seen Doctor Who the movie, so Sylvester McCoy is going through space. He's in the TARDIS. But honestly, my favorite TARDIS they've ever had. It's like super huge and steampunky, and there's all these multiple sets because it's like a co-production with Fox, so they have tons of money. And he's sitting comfortably with the Master trapped in the box and in a box, and the Master escapes, and he's like a little slug, basically. And he goes through the door, and he's in Los Angeles. At the New Year's Eve of 1999 to 2000, and the Doctor is immediately shot by a Los Angeles street gang, dies, and winds up in a hospital, turns into Paul McGann, and he wanders up to the roof, and it's raining, and he just screams to the heavens, "Who am I?" It's incredible, but he's great. He's great in the role. He just doesn't have much to do in that episode, but his performance in Night of the Doctor just like makes me like crave more McGann episodes.
I concur.
Yeah.
After watching this, I was like, I want to see more adventures of him as the Doctor. He was fantastic.
Yeah.
4 minutes? What am I going to do?
I know. Well, there's no more video, but Big Finish is a company that makes Doctor Who audio adventures, and there's a whole bunch with Paul McGann, and a lot of the classic Doctors went on to do these audio adventures, and I've heard very good things. I haven't really explored them that much, but those of you who liked what you saw of Paul McGann, you can get more of him on these Big Finish Doctor Who audio adventures.
I need to go and get those because I love audiobooks and podcasts and everything, so that sounds fantastic.
I still haven't gotten a chance to watch. There's a funny thing. It's like 15 minutes long. It's like the 5-ish Doctors reunion. And it's like basically the remaining living Doctors picketing BBC because they weren't able to be a part of the 50th anniversary special.
I'll be honest, I'm a little disappointed that I from what I hear, and correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I hear, BBC didn't even approach them to ask if they wanted to be a part of it.
Yeah.
And I know it's hard to shoehorn in everybody, and I understand plot-wise it wouldn't make sense to pull them all in.
It would be hard.
But it would have been really nice to have them as cameos, even in other roles, like just to get them involved in some way. And I know.
But I know, and you know, and I know. It's just like you can't make everybody happy because if someone's gonna see them in like another role in like this bit part or whatever. And they're going to be like, no, but that's the Doctor, and he's also there, and he's doing this. But like, you're not going to be able to make everyone happy, and it's easier not to have it. It is a bit rude that they didn't even contact them. That is rude. But it's simpler that they're not there, and I'm excited to watch this thing. I've heard it's very, very funny. The funny bit of information, the theatrical screenings of Doctor Who Day of the Doctor had a better per screen average this weekend than the Hunger Games.
I was so shocked when I heard that. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well done, Whovians.
Well done, Whovians. It's also in 3D.
That's also true.
Yeah, so that helps a whole lot.
And I don't think everybody knew that they were going to, this was supposed to be a one-time deal, right?
Yeah, and it sold out so quickly that they added screenings. Where I was at Century City last night, it was only supposed to be one screening, and I got it, like right when it went on the market, and then there wound up being like 5 screenings that night in 2 theaters. It was nuts. And it was just mobbed. So many 11s, so many 10s. There was one little girl in this awesome Weeping Angel costume.
Aww.
It was so great.
It's always cute when the kids dress up.
Oh yeah. So I went there with my friends and my girlfriend, and I was wearing a fez, and it was so much fun. Okay. So Day of the Doctor. Any further thoughts on that before we get to this article, which I really want to talk about?
Goodness, there's so much to talk about. And I'm just trying to think of what we've covered already. Just that it makes me, like I said, it makes me really excited to be watching Doctor Who again. It makes me really excited. It makes me want it to be Christmas right now.
I know.
I'm like, I need more.
Well, here's the thing: is it reminded us what was kind of missing from the show. It's been a while since the Doctor's had a clear goal. As Alan Kistler was saying on our first part, he was saying, for the first 50 years, it was very much about the Doctor. He's running away from Gallifrey. He's a rebel and a rambler, and he doesn't want to be there. And now he's heading towards something for the first time in years. Honestly, for the first time since he came back on the air in 2005, he didn't really have a goal. He was just trying to survive, and he was meeting people. But eventually, you get used to that, and that gets a little almost boring.
You can only run away for so long.
Yes.
Before you have to turn around and face what's going on. And with him constantly running away from who he is, and constantly being moody and
constantly dying. I mean, in 7 years, how many times has he died or almost died?
That's that's also true. Well, several, because he's regenerated a couple times. But and also the fact that he's looking towards these people and kind of trying to unravel the puzzle that they are. Trying to figure out the impossible girl, trying to figure out what's Bad Wolf,
and what's the silence, and what's the question, and avoiding all that.
And all these mysteries are great, but you're absolutely right. Apart from like trying to unravel the mystery, it's like, okay, well then we just go on to the next mystery. And to have him have a definite, defined goal and a place to go is really, really refreshing, and it's really exciting.
Yeah. Okay, so I really want to talk about this article because I've been tweeting with folks and I've been talking to people all day, and it's so here's the thing. It is a spoiler, so if you 100% do not want to hear anything about the Christmas special, even theories.
Spoiler alert!
Exactly.
Spoiler alert!
I would say.
Spoiler alert!
How many times does it say that? Is it done saying it?
Spoiler alert!
This is a Doctor Who one. You should have River saying it. Spoilers.
Spoilers. Well, we'll talk to the tech folks about adding that for the Christmas special. But yeah, I would say skip out now, and thank you for tuning in. Actually, before we discuss this article, I just want to bring up iTunes really quickly. Folks, thank you to anyone and everyone who has reviewed us on iTunes. It is you people that keep us doing what we do. We do this show for free because we love talking about Doctor Who, and the show is free. It's a free podcast, as are everything that we do here at AfterBuzz TV and Black Hollywood Live, and all of our podcasts across our multiple networks. And we put it out for free because we're passionate about television. We're passionate about you. So what can you do to help us? Because we're giving you all this good free stuff, and that's quite a bargain. You can go to iTunes, slap us with a 5-star rating. It helps keep us searchable, helps us stay on top of the Doctor Who podcast charts and the AfterBuzz TV podcast charts, and it lets us know that we're doing a good job. You can also hit us up on Twitter, hit us up on the YouTube. We love talking with our fans about our favorite show. So please do that, and we are so, so grateful. And now, if you don't want to hear anything about this article in the Mirror, leave now, and we love you. Goodbye. Okay, so headline from the Mirror. This was published this morning at 8:16 a.m. Doctor Who boss Stephen Moffat confirms Matt Smith is the 13th Doctor, with regeneration riddle tackled during the Christmas special. And it basically breaks down, according to a few random sources, that technically Matt Smith is the 13th Doctor. And here's why. So we've got John Hurt as the War Doctor, technically the 9th iteration of the Doctor, the 9th regeneration, making Eccleston the 10th Doctor. And then Tennant is 11 and 12 because he uses up a regeneration during Journey's End, making Matt Smith the 13th Doctor. Holy crap. Now, it's the canon is the Doctor only has 13 lives. This is the rule. There's been some confusion over the years. Has this been retconned? Has it not? Whatever the definition is and whatever your take on it is, the show is going to handle it during this Christmas special where apparently we're going back to Trenzalore and finding out about the Doctor's death. He's going to face everybody, and he's definitely dying and becoming Peter Capaldi. But if he's dying, how does he become Peter Capaldi? One thing that we can remember is that River used all of her regenerations to save the Doctor during Let's Kill Hitler. And there's some debate as to how many regenerations she gave him. It may be as many as 11. It's like anywhere between 9 and 11 because she, I think, regenerated only twice. She was the little girl, then she was Amy and Rory's good friend, and then she was River. So maybe she gave him 10 regenerations?
Yeah, it's probably around that much, and that's assuming that she had as many as a normal Time Lord.
That's true, because she wasn't born a Time Lord. She was born near time travel, so we don't quite know the exact mathematics or biology there. We didn't have time to explore it because River's gone now. I know. Let's pour one out for Professor Song right there.
Raise our glass.
Raise the glasses.
To Professor Song.
To Professor Song. Here. Although, honestly, I think it was time to say goodbye. to Professor Song. But that's just me. When I was leaving the Day of the Doctor screening last night, there were these like 12-year-old girls all in costume. My girlfriend was talking to them, and they were like when 10 said I don't want to go, that was so amazing, and they're like swooning, and I'm like, yeah, I personally felt it was a little corny, and I was just like, man, I guess I have no heart or no soul or something's dead inside me.
That's not true. You either groan because you're like, oh, David Tennant, like, oh, 10, he was my doctor. Or you groan because you're like, oh, really, that line again? Because people are torn on that line. People are either like, oh, like it's the saddest thing they've ever heard, or they go, oh, that was the stupidest thing he could have said.
I liked it when he said it in context, when he actually was dying. I just thought it was a little too winky at the audience to like say it again. It's just kind of like, remember this?
Remember that one time we punched you in the gut?
We punched you in the heart and ripped it out and then tore it in half and made a nice stew out of it. Remember
and then
that?
Stomped it on the front.
How fun was that, England? I was going to say America, but it's not.
Well, no, America too.
America too. So I think we're running low on time here, but I just want to hear what you think about this article and what we're going to get in the Christmas special.
Honestly, I think that the mathematics of it, they were always going to figure out a way. Like, my brother and I were always joking before 10 left, or I guess 12, 11?
Yeah, before
Tennant left.
Before 12 left.
Before Tennant left, when like they were in the middle of his specials before he left, my older brother and I were joking that they were going to come up with some wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey reason to keep it going after 13. And we were okay with that because Doctor Who, my good friend Katie always says, with Doctor Who, plot always trumps continuity.
It's true.
For better or worse, plot will trump continuity every single time.
Yeah.
So honestly, I'm okay with it. It is really funny and really amusing. But the fact that they've actually figured out a way to sort of logically make it make sense, I say more power to them.
That's an if. That's if they found a way to logically make it make sense.
That's a huge leap of faith,
I
guess.
Like, I feel like there's two kinds of fans. There's ones that give Stephen Moffat a lot of leeway, and then there's ones that are just like, come on, bro. I give him a lot of leeway. I'm pretty sure he's just going to somehow abolish the regeneration rule in this special, and it'll just be, he can go on forever.
Well, I think there was actually a line in the Sarah Jane Adventures when Matt Smith was around saying that he had a whole bunch of regenerations, actually.
Yeah, but it was like flippant. It might have been a joke.
I disregard that.
Okay. We'll find out in a month, I guess. I'm looking forward to this special. I'm sure you are too.
It'll be a lot of fun.
Yes, and we are definitely going to have a recap for that. Megan Salinas, where can the people find you?
You can find me on the AfterBuzz show for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and you can find me on Twitter at TheMenguin. That's TheMenguin.
All right, and you can find me on Twitter at Matt Lieberman. That's MattLieberman. You can also find me here on AfterBuzz TV on the Almost Human, Sons of Anarchy, Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and Sleepy Hollow after shows with new shows coming up all the time. So please stick around. Thank you all for checking in with us, and we will see you at Christmas. Good night.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.